is going to be a star of one of the games, or hopes to be a star at least of one of the games that we've had on that slide. And let's introduce him right now. We got a lot to talk about, a lot of questions about this guy that I've been learning throughout the last 24 hours as we scheduled this interview. Ryan Stevens is joining us. And Ryan, before you start up here, I've got to get your audio back on because I believe I had knocked it off there. That was my fault, and you are good to go. But so, Ryan, congratulations on the start so far this season, and how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm currently just downtown in Baltimore, and it's a beautiful day. Looking for a good Friday night football game coming up.
Well, let's talk about that Friday night football game because I attended this Friday night football game a year ago in the Muhlenberg version of it, and you were sailing along, and then kind of a buzzsaw scenario occurred in that game. What did you learn about kind of anything related to Muhlenberg or expectations in a season after you guys had kind of had a real offensive struggle in that game versus Muhlenberg last year?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for us is we learned that we have to play opportunistic football through 4 quarters, and we never really hit a bump last year before this game. So our team has been battle-tested with our sinus in week 2. And I feel like we have a different team this year. We're more focused on our success of just playing the next play. And I think that mindset will lead to a success tonight.
Ryan, last season you guys, I think, led the nation, if not at least Division III in points scored and all these kinds of things. Do you feel like the offense has changed with this new team? You guys seem to be doing things a little differently. How is this year's team and this offense kind of compared to last year?
I think Coach Josephson has adapted our offense to who we have and the personnel we have to be effective on the field. We're still doing a lot of what we did last year, but I think we believe as a team and as an offense that next play mentality, next drive mentality, at any point in the game, we can put 28 points on the board in 4 minutes. And that's kind of our thought process as an offense.
You know, right, last year you guys had to kind of sit and wait to a certain degree with respect to what your next step was going to be after the season was done. And you end up really shocking a lot of people with the performance versus Salisbury in the playoffs. So it seemed like you kind of got motivated after this game was played last year and did a great job to make sure that the Centennial Conference was represented well. And now suddenly we all, even though you guys play 9 games of your round robin and then only 1 out of conference game, a lot of people are suddenly saying, well, they deserve a pool seed if one of the teams goes 9-1. Still, you don't want to be kind of waiting on the outside looking in. What was the feeling like last year, and what did you learn from that process?
I just want to leave no doubt. As a team, I don't think we want to be in that same situation as we were last year, looking at as a watch party, waiting for our name to be called. I'd rather have our name locked in and be ready for who we're playing already. Personally, I was really happy that they gave us a chance in the playoffs, and we did prove ourselves. We just came up short against Mountain Union.
Well, Ryan, I've been looking forward to this for a while because I used to live down the road from your old high school, Chaminade, in good old Chatsworth, California, right there in the West San Fernando Valley. So how does a guy from Southern California end up in Baltimore?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me, decision-wise, was using football to get me to the best school. And I initially got some PWOs and some offers from some D1s, but I decided what was best for me and academically what I can major in and what I wanted to major in, which was applied math and econ. And I'm lucky enough to now pursue a master's in finance here. And I just think Hopkins is all around a great school. And also we have great athletics combined with it, which is great.
Okay, well, let's talk about something here because Ernie LaRosa, who is your SID, made sure to tell us 2 separate times yesterday, and he was right to do so because it was incredible information. We have listed down here, we don't normally do this, but I think under the circumstances we need to, that you are a grad QB, okay, so graduate QB, but you are not a 5th year. You completed college in 3 years, according to what I'm understanding here. You're in a grad school scenario right now. And that means actually because of COVID, you have a year of eligibility remaining, I believe, as well. What the hell is going on down there at Johns Hopkins, and are we going to see you back next year?
At the end of the season, I plan to weigh my options. I have job offers lined up potentially, but the need to play football is there, and I love being on the field and just the feeling of being in command, leading an offense, and just having all those 96 guys around me looking up to me and being a leader on the field is just game changing. So I don't know 100% yet, but I might come back.
Okay, so if I said the name David Tamaro, what would that mean to you? Because you guys followed interestingly similar tracks, it feels like, here. And I think he was a finance guy as well, or in that area. And, was trying to weigh what the next steps were, was dedicated to football and all that stuff. What did you learn from that guy? And, what is he up to these days? Do you stay in touch with him?
Yeah, Dave is working on the West Coast in San Fran. And he's working in finance, which is nice. But the biggest thing for Dave that taught me freshman year is he was just a good leader of the team. His way of just being a good leader all around, being a good guy. And also he's a phenomenal quarterback. The way he looks at defenses, the way he gets through reads, I think I try to mimic it every week.
JB, I got something for you to ask him about, actually. I don't usually do it this way, but I was reading that this guy is one of 5 children, I believe it is, but all the siblings are sisters. What do you think about that, JB?
How do you handle that?
Yeah.
It's fun. It's a fun household. I'm the middle of 5, 2 older sisters, 2 younger sisters. It's a lot, but they teach you a lot of good lessons, which is nice. And I'm always happy to have them around, and they're great mentors to have.
Okay, but what's more threatening, the defensive line of Muhlenberg or your sisters if they're mad at you any given day?
I'm actually more terrified of my mother. My mother knows how to read defenses, and it's terrifying because if I make one bad check, she first time I come off the field, she goes, "Why'd you check that play? Why'd you see? Well, you saw too high. Why'd you check it?" I'm like, "Come on, Mom. We just won a game. Relax."
Wow.
Knows her stuff.
JB, go ahead.
That's funny. Well, I'm trying to remember, and I think you, because of the COVID thing and all that, did you overlap with Coach Margraf or not, or at least coming into Hopkins? There was obviously that happened, and it was an unfortunate situation. What was your experience with that, and did you ever interact with him? What did you sort of learn about him these past few years?
Yeah, Margraf was the guy who recruited me, so I was very, very, very sad to hear what happened, and he also added on to the reasoning why I chose Hopkins, because of just the way he carried himself, the way he carried this team, and how it's carried on to how Kamara carries the team, along with Coach Josephson and Coach Wadika. It was very sad to happen, especially because he was going to come visit me, but we turned down him to visit just so he could spend more time with his family, and that was when we found out he passed. So it's a very hard situation. I keep him in my heart at all times. He's a great guy, great coach, and I miss him.
We all do miss him, indeed. Let's go back, since we went a little more serious here at this point, to talk about the serious nature of tonight's game for a second, and just about what to expect in this game. We got a Muhlenberg team that's still trying to find itself in some ways, it seems like. Coach Milne, took the challenge versus Mary Hardin Baylor. They didn't do horribly early on in that game. They, prized themselves decently overall, I would say, compared to what some teams go through against them. But then obviously your Sinus bites them again. It's really a little bit of a replay going on from last year, except flip the home location on this. So what should we expect to see from a Muhlenberg defense, let's say, because you've been studying up on that, he tried to say. But what should we also be looking forward to with you guys? Are you more balanced in the run pass this year? Or are you more pass first, and then we'll talk about run? For those of us that haven't watched you for a full 4 quarters yet this season, what will we see?
I think the biggest thing for our offense is we just got to take what the defense gives us, and that's ultimately what we'll have to do tonight to win. Their defense is phenomenal across the board. Great corners, great front seven, great back safeties there. And I just think that if we just play opportunistic football and take a chance of their mistakes, I think we can be successful in the offense.
As you probably know, JB and I are friends with Coach Milne, and I wanted to convey a couple things he wanted me to send out to you this morning, since you guys will be facing off in 10 hours or so. He says he wishes you well in midterms. He hopes you do well on them. Hopkins is full of really smart people, and when I reminded him that you graduated in 3 years, he says that just proves my point again. And he said, well, he considered maybe coming on the show to say hi to you, and he said maybe I could offer some career advice. But he said he wasn't sure what he could offer besides saying avoid midlife politics and don't join a band. So Coach Milne giving the professional advice to you, Ryan Stevens. I mean, that's worth a lot of money. And I don't know about anybody on this set that would join a band. Oh, wait. Hey, JB, how are you?
Got my guitar right behind me.
No.
On a more serious, if you don't want to hear that, on a more serious note, Ryan, what is tonight going to feel like for the Hopkins and the Muhlenberg's faith? I mean, we see Homewood on national television in the spring with the lacrosse, PLL. They had a recent event that was packed house for a weekend. What's it going to be like for Friday Night Lights in Baltimore?
Well, it's actually alumni weekend, so we got a lot of guys coming back, which is nice, and a good amount of my friends and buddies are coming back into town to see the game, which is always great. But there's no atmosphere like Homewood. It's a great stadium to play in. It's always nice to play at home, and it's Friday Night Lights. Nothing compares to it.
I've been there for a playoff game, it was the playoff game versus RPI a few years back, and the place was rocking even with rain falling that cold day. I endured it like a champ, but speaking of champs, we wish you well on the attempt for the championship in the Centennial Conference, but you guys will need to win this game to really have some certainty in this whole thing. And then in a couple weeks, let's not forget about that Susquehanna team that is coming up. They are very good. They're waiting and watching this game and all that stuff. So good luck there. But hey, David, I got David Tamero on my mind right now. Ryan Stevens, it is your turn for shout-outs for any family, friends, teammates that might be watching here. Take the floor because in 10 hours you're going to be on the field, hopefully not literally. Go for it.
All right, I'll shout out my family, all my 4 sisters, my brother-in-law, Henry, and my parents, especially for all what they do. I also want to shout out our quarterback room, Wes, James, Bay, and Ethan. Great guys in there. I'd also want to throw out shout out my OC, Coach Joe. He's great across the board. We're getting on the same page, which is perfect for leading up to this game. So that's all the people I want to shout out. Thanks, guys.
That's great, and I will see you tonight. I will start my drive right after this show.
Clarita, baby.
Yeah, so here we go. Big game tonight. My second time being at a Muhlenberg Johns Hopkins game. Currently are 0-1 when I'm in attendance for those games. So we'll see if we can get a 500 measure on that, or if Coach Milne will be inviting me back more frequently to this game at the end of tonight. We'll see what happens. Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me on.